Every time the Trump couple appears together, people watch closely, because an awkward moment never seems to be far behind, especially when Melania gives her husband that unmistakably frosty vibe. Take January 20th, 2025, a huge day for the newly elected president, and Donald was clearly in full celebration mode. Melania stood right beside him, calm and perfectly polished in one of her trademark wide-brim hats. So when Donald leaned in to share the moment and went for a kiss, it seemed inevitable. But Melania had an exit strategy ready. She shifted just enough to turn it into a flawless air kiss. No contact, no chemistry, just vibes. And right on cue, social media piled on, joking that the hat wasn't fashion at all, it was defense. A few days later at the Liberty inaugural ball in Washington, D.C., Donald appeared downright romantic, swaying with Melania and even seeming to serenade her. But if you were watching her face, the mood didn't quite match. Instead of leaning in, she pulled back slightly, her expression stiff, distant, and clearly not mirroring his enthusiasm. Let's just say, energy was not mutual. Fast forward to the National Christmas Tree lighting on December 4th. The event aired live, and while Donald's speech followed his usual winding path, it wasn't his words that caught viewers' attention. It was Melania's face. As he teased the crowd about the musical guests, she nodded along dutifully, until, for a split second, the smile vanished and the discomfort flashed across her face. The kind of expression that makes you think she briefly forgot the cameras were rolling, and then remembered a second too late. Also, back in October, Melania appeared to ignore Donald's attempt to hold her hand during the White House Halloween festivities, because apparently, the real horror for her was a little unwanted PDA. The 4th of July may have had fireworks in the sky, but not between the Trumps. On the White House balcony, they stood stiff as statues while bursts of color lit the night. Donald pulled Melania toward him for a kiss, but she didn't lean in. Instead, she turned her cheek, then her forehead, leaving him hanging in yet another painfully awkward moment. The awkwardness didn't end there. By September 2025, cameras caught Melania pulling away as Donald tried to hold her hand while exiting Marine One, leaving him visibly frustrated. Just days before, footage had already shown a tense exchange between them aboard the presidential helicopter following a state visit to the UK. Looks like the real turbulence was happening between them. And if you remember October 2024 at the Madison Square Garden MAGA rally, that moment still lives rent-free online. Donald enthusiastically pulled Melania in for a kiss. She turned her head at just the right moment, resulting in what can only be described as a near-miss double ear peck. Romance? Not exactly, but definitely unforgettable. During Donald Trump's acceptance speech at the Republican National Convention, where he officially snagged the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential race, Melania Trump was caught on camera doing what she does best, sidestepping a kiss from her husband. Yep, she just casually dodged it like she was avoiding a bad case of morning breath. Well, it's these little moments that keep us all on the edge of our seats, wondering what's really going on behind those closed doors.
Whether you love me or hate me, you gotta vote for me.
But wait, there's more. This isn't the first time Melania's body language has stolen the show. Over the years, she's perfected the art of slapping away his hand, ripping her hand out of his grip, and just flat out walking away from him during photo ops. Speaking of hands, who could forget the infamous umbrella incident in October 2018? Here's how it went down. It was raining, and President Trump, ever the gentleman, was holding an umbrella over his own head, leaving Melania to fend for herself in the downpour. Chivalry is apparently dead, at least in the Trump household. Remember that World Series game? The one where she smiled sweetly next to Donald for all of 2 seconds before turning away and rolling her eyes as if she was thinking, "Ugh, not again." That clip went viral faster than you could say, awkward marriage, with critics quick to point out that Melania has a knack for these less-than-warm interactions with her hubby.
Don't be rude.
And then there's that cringe-worthy moment when Trump attempted to hold Melania's hand while welcoming French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte, to the White House. Trump tried everything, tapping, curling his pinky, you name it, until Melania finally relented after what felt like an eternity. By the time she grabbed hold, you could almost hear the collective sigh of relief from onlookers who were probably cringing so hard they pulled a muscle. And let's not skip over their arrival in Israel, where Trump reached for Melania's hand, only for her to swiftly and subtly swat it away. The next day, despite the whole world talking about her hand-swatting skills, she did it again in Rome. But this time, she had a convenient excuse. She needed that hand to fix her hair. Yeah, right. Also, remember when Melania's yellow coat became the talk of Twitter? With her coat strategically draped over her shoulders, she set the internet ablaze once again when a video shared by NBC News showed Trump appearing to fumble awkwardly for her hand as they walked toward their awaiting aircraft. It was like watching a toddler trying to grab a slippery fish. It just wasn't happening.
Oh, and you like all her choices, or are you ever like, what?
No, not all her choices, but tonight I like it a lot. She looks great.
Also, we cannot overlook that 2017 rally where Trump touched Melania's arm, and she shuddered like she'd just touched a live wire. Not exactly a love-struck display, right? Even a fancy fundraiser couldn't make Melania look happier around her husband. At the International Red Cross in Mar-a-Lago, Melania looked like she was already working on her escape plan. It was as if she had a mental map to the nearest exit, plotting her getaway with all the precision of a top-secret mission. Spoiler alert, she didn't succeed. And who could forget Trump's inauguration? The big day when all eyes were on them. But instead of waiting for his wife, or, helping her out of the car like a true gentleman, Trump charged up the White House steps to greet the Obamas, leaving Melania to walk up alone a few paces behind him. It's almost like he was trying to set a new world record for fastest abandonment of a spouse on a historic occasion. Standing awkwardly beside his wife, Trump was no match for Obama's charm as he gracefully kissed Michelle's hand, perhaps leaving Melania to wonder what could have been. Adding to the awkwardness was the inauguration kiss, or rather, its absence. Trump leaned in, presumably aiming for a tender moment, but footage shows the connection was less than smooth. With Michelle and Barack Obama watching, it looked like a romantic comedy scene gone hilariously awry. Then there was that viral gif from the inauguration that everyone was talking about. On the Capitol steps, Trump looked back at his wife, and she responded with a smile that lasted for about 2 seconds. The moment he turned away, her smile turned into a grimace that looked like she had just bitten into a lemon. Even at the inaugural ball, Melania couldn't hide her emotions. Maybe it was just a bad angle, but that didn't stop the internet from buzzing about her seemingly sour expression on the dance floor. This awkward dynamic isn't new. Remember when Donald and Melania hosted the Czech Prime Minister at the White House? Trump and the Prime Minister dashed inside, leaving Melania and Monica Babišova out in the cold, as if they were extras in a bad sitcom. Melania tried to shuffle around to get in line, clearly unprepared for this frosty reception. And things didn't exactly warm up inside. You can almost feel the lady's frustration radiating through the screen. Oof, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. With a track record like this, it's no wonder people are glued to their screens every time the Trumps step out in public. But what do you think? Is Melania really unhappy with Donald, or is she just not a fan of PDA? Share your thoughts in the comments.